Hello everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to Cherry Blossom Arts Daily Shakespeare for Kids 7+. This is the lovely Ali.
Hello everybody.
Oh, we'd love to call her Rally Ali. There's a story behind that, but we'll tell you another day. Rally Ali is our special guest today, but because she's also my mum, I'm here with her and I'm going to have my mum read a story. So I'm going to get all snuggled up. What are you reading, Mum?
I'm reading The Merchant of Venice.
Lovely. Can you just show them the picture on the front there?
This is the Merchant of Venice.
Lovely. And what characters have we got today, Mum?
The characters in this story today are Antonio, who is a Venetian merchant, and a merchant is somebody who sells things. He has a friend called Bassanio. There's a young lady called Portia who comes from a very well-off family, and she is in love with Bassanio.
And she's the noblewoman of Belmont. Hi Lizzie, hi Keith, hi Lynn. We've got a few live watchers.
There's Portia's maid is called Nerissa. There's a character called Shylock, who is a Venetian moneylender. And he's a little bit of quite a nasty character.
Oh, which you'll find out in a minute.
You will. The Prince of Aragon and the Prince of Morocco in this story are suitors to Portia, and suitors are people who are best suited to be with somebody like her.
Oh, we got Angus watching on live. Hi, Angie. Angus was our guest storyteller yesterday.
Yeah. And then last but not least, the Duke of Venice, and he is the judge at Antonio's trial. And obviously, once we get through the book, you will realise why Antonio has to go on trial.
And the scene?
The scene is it's in Venice, and it's set in the 16th century.
Well, thank you, watchers, for joining us live. Oh, my chair has just pushed that back. Hang on.
Whoopsie, got a technical problem here at the moment.
I'm going to sit back in my chair and relax. And thank you for joining us live. And if you're not joining us live, thank you for joining us on playback. Rally Ali, take it away. I've got my cup of tea.
Thank you. And this is obviously for everybody, young and old, whoever's watching. So it's called The Merchant of Venice. One afternoon in the city of Venice, two men stood together on a bridge over a canal. The older man, Antonio, was a successful merchant. His companion was his friend Bassanio. Antonio had just told Bassanio a scandalous piece of gossip, but Bassanio didn't seem interested. "What's wrong, Bassanio?" said Antonio. "You've hardly spoken a word to me." Bassanio peered down at the canal. "Last year I visited the town of Belmont. I had dinner there with a man who had a beautiful daughter named Portia," he said. "She was wise, witty, and you fell in love with her," interrupted Antonio. Bassanio blushed. "I've been thinking about her ever since," he confessed. 2 days ago, I learnt that Portia's father has died, leaving her all his fortune. She is one of the richest women in Italy." Antonio slapped his friend on the back. "Then go to Belmont and woo her," he urged. "Rich suitors are flocking to propose to Portia, even princes from foreign lands," groaned Bassanio. "What chance would I stand against them? I can't even afford a new suit of clothes." "How much money do you need to woo Portia in style?" Antonio asked. 3,000 ducats, replied Bassanio. Antonio lowered his voice so that passers-by would not hear him. "If I had the money, I would lend it to you," he said. "But at the moment, I haven't got 300 ducats, let alone 3,000. All my money is invested in 4 ships that are voyaging around the world. When they return to Venice, I'll be a wealthy man again. But until then..." So you can't help me, Bassanio cried in despair. My reputation is still good, said Antonio. Find a moneylender who will loan you 3,000 ducats, and I will sign a bond promising to repay him. Bassanio beamed. You're the best friend a man could have, he declared. While Bassanio and Antonio were talking on the bridge in Venice, in Belmont the lovely Portia paced to and fro across the richly furnished room. Her serving maid, Nerissa, watched from a chair in the corner. In the corner of the room was an oak table, and on it were 3 caskets, one made of gold, another of silver, and the third made of lead. Suddenly, Portia stopped pacing and stamped her foot. This is so unfair, she grumbled. I'm an intelligent, educated woman, but can I choose a husband for myself? Oh no, the man who marries must select one of these stupid caskets. If he picks the right one, I have to be his wife. That was one of the conditions of her father's will, miss, said Nerissa. You haven't agreed to it, you wouldn't have inherited his money. A far-off look came into Nerissa's eyes. I know who I'd pick as a husband for you, she said. Who? Demanded Portia. That Venetian gentleman who came to dinner last summer, Nerissa cooed. A faint redness crept into Portia's cheeks. His name was Bassanio, wasn't it? She said. So it was, exclaimed Nerissa. There was something special about him, and if you ask me, he thought you were special too, miss. Portia's cheeks turned a deeper red. Nonsense, she said. Bassanio has probably forgotten all about me. As the sun set over Venice, Bassanio strolled across a public square discussing business with Shylock, the moneylender, who was a thin man with a long, grizzled beard. Shylock had a sharp mind, but often pretended to be slow-witted to mislead his clients. He frowned at Bassanio and said, Let me be clear about this. You want to borrow 3,000 ducats?
Oh, it's Katie. Hi, Katie and Claire.
I do, said Bassanio. And your friend the merchant Antonio will sign a bond guaranteeing that he will pay back the money within 3 months? Bassanio nodded. He will, he said. Look, here comes Antonio now. He'll tell you himself. Shylock narrowed his eyes. He and Antonio detested each other, though both men made a show of being polite. Well, Shylock, said Antonio, will you lend Bassanio the money? I'm considering it, Shylock replied. It surprises me that you are willing to sign a bond. Didn't I hear you boast that you would never charge interest on a loan or pay interest on any money that you borrowed? Normally I wouldn't, said Antonio, but this money is for my friend, so I'm making an exception.
Katie just said, sounding so lush, Ali, such a beautiful storytelling voice. And then Angus says, shush, I'm concentrating. Hi, Lils. There's Lily too.
But this money is for my friend, so I'm making an exception. Will you give him the money or not? Shylock spoke quietly, but sparks of rage glowed in his eyes. Antonio, you have often criticised the way I do business, but I've never complained, he said. The other day you spat on my clothes, called me a Jewish dog and kicked me. Today you're asking for my help.
Hi, Lils. She just said, hello, you gorgeous pair.
Hello. Remember that Jews are just as human as you. If you cut us, we bleed. If you poison us, we die. And if we insult us, we have our revenge. We don't like each other, Shylock, Antonio said frankly, and if I don't return your loan in time, imagine the pleasure it will give you to make me pay the penalty. Shylock laughed as if he had thought of a joke. Speaking of the penalty, I think it would be amusing if the lawyer who draws up the bond writes that if you do not pay me by such a date, you will let me cut off a pound of your flesh from the place nearest your heart Agree to that, and your friend shall have his money, he said. Bassanio clutched Antonio's arm. No, Antonio, he gasped. Let's find another moneylender. Antonio sensed that Charlotte was testing him. If he refused Charlotte's terms, the moneylender would spread the word that Antonio was a coward. Just as you wish, Shylock, Antonio said. No, said Bassanio. What if something happens to your ships? Don't worry, Antonio said. They are due back in Venice a month before the repayment due. Neither Antonio nor Bassanio noticed Shylock's gloating smile. Sailors make mistakes and ships sink, Antonio, Shylock thought. Once that bond is signed, you will be at my mercy. Ooh. Not a very nice man. In Belmont, Portia led the Prince of Morocco into the room where the caskets were kept. The prince was a handsome man whose white robe showed off his dark skin. He stared at the caskets, picked up the one made of lead, and read the words inscribed on it. If you choose me, you must risk all that you have. The prince put down the casket. Risk all that I have for lead, he snorted. I will risk nothing for a common metal. What is the inscription on the silver casket? If you choose me, you'll get as much as you deserve. The prince laughed. This could be the right casket. I deserve the best, and Lady Portia would be the best wife for me. But I'll wait until I have read the inscription on the gold casket. If you choose me, you will get what you want many men desire. This must be the one. Many men want to marry Lady Portia, and a prize like her must be in a casket made from the most precious metal of all. The prince lifted the lid of the gold casket and cried out in dismay. Inside was a human skull with a small roll of parchment in one of its eye sockets. The prince unrolled the parchment and read, All that glistens is not gold, as often have been told. You have chosen outward show, so now say farewell and go. Without another word, the prince left the room, and Portia heaved a sigh of relief. The next afternoon in Belmont, the Prince of Aragon took his turn at choosing between Portia's 3 caskets. He stroked his beard and spoke his thoughts aloud. Lead it too crude for my taste, he said, and gold is too obvious. I choose the silver casket. The prince opened the casket and found a miniature painting of a man dressed as a jester. With the painting was a parchment scroll which read, This picture makes it plain to see that you have chosen foolishly. Though you are strong, your mind is weak, and you are not the one I seek. The prince bowed to Portia. I will not make an even bigger fool of myself by staying any longer, my lady, he said, and left. The next moment, Nerissa burst into the room. You'll never guess who I met in town, miss, she jabbered. Bassanio. He's on his way here to ask you to marry him. Isn't it romantic? Portia felt so excited as Nerissa, but kept her feelings hidden. Romantic or not, he will have to take the test, like all the other suitors, she said solemnly. Bassanio and Portia were delighted to meet again. Portia explained the peculiar conditions of her father's will. Bassanio admitted that he was poor and described how and why Antonio had borrowed money from Shylock. Finally, Bassanio said, Show me the caskets. Let me choose. Portia was afraid. If Bassanio chose wrongly, she would lose him forever. Wait a few days, she begged. I can't bear to, said Bassanio. I have to know if we have to spend our lives together or apart. Portia led Bassanio to the room where the caskets were kept, and he examined them. Evil often disguises itself, he said. In court, a guilty man hides his crime behind a clever argument. Cowardly soldiers mask their fear by pretending to be brave. but this lead casket doesn't seem to be hiding anything. With shaking hands, Bassanio opened the casket. Inside was a portrait of Portia and a scroll that read, "You have not chosen with your eyes, but with your heart, and you are wise. Turn now to where your lady is, and claim her with a loving kiss."
Ooh.
So Bassanio and Portia were married and were blissfully happy. As the weeks turned into months, Bassanio almost forgot about his precious life. Previous life. Then one morning at breakfast, he received a letter from Venice. As he read the letter, he gasped in horror. "Is it bad news?" inquired Portia. "The worst," Bassanio said. "Antonio's ships have been lost at sea. Shylock has had him thrown into prison and says that Antonio must keep his bond." "Give Shylock his 3,000 ducats," exclaimed Portia. "Give him 6,000 if he wants." Shylock's daughter ran off and married a Christian. She took money from her father's cash boxes. "The shock has hardened Shylock's heart," Bassanio said. "He insists on his pound of flesh. Antonio goes on trial for debt in a few days." "We owe him our happiness," said Portia. "You must go and see him at once." While Bassanio was packing for his trip, Portia called Nerissa to her and told her about Antonio. Poor fellow, Nerissa sighed. "I'm going to help him," announced Portia. "My cousin Dr. Bellario taught me a lot about the law when I first tried to understand Father's will. I'll call on him, ask for a letter of introduction to the Duke of Venice, and discuss Antonio's case. Then you and I are off to Venice disguised as lawyers." On the day of Antonio's trial, all Venice seemed to be packed into the courtroom. The Duke of Venice sat in the judge's chair, with Shylock to his left and Antonio and Bassanio to his right. The Duke signalled for silence and said, "Where is the loyal Balthazar, sent by Dr. Bellario to defend Antonio?" Portia and Nerissa stood up and bowed. They were wearing lawyers' robes, and Portia had glued on a false beard. "Here I am, my lord," she said in a deep voice. "You may begin," declared the Duke. Portia turned to Shylock. "Will you give up the bond if Antonio returns the 3,000 ducats he borrowed from you?" she asked. "I would not give it up for 60,000 ducats, Shylock hissed. "Antonio," Portia said, "were you tricked into signing the bond?" "No," replied Antonio. Portia shrugged. "Then the bond is legal, but Shylock must be merciful," she said. "Merciful?" hooted Shylock. "Why must I be merciful?" "Because mercy brings a blessing both to those who receive it and those who give it," Portia told him. "I don't want to be blessed," grunted Shylock. "I want justice to be done." Show me the bond, said Portia. The clerk of the court handed her a parchment, which she read quickly. "The money-lender is right," she said. "The law is on his side. Antonio, unfasten your shirt and prepare to die." "Give me your hand, Bassanio," whispered Antonio. "Goodbye, my friend." Shylock pronounced a dagger and began to sharpen it on a small stone.
This is horrible.
Take care when you cut, Shylock, Portia advised. "Why?" snapped Shylock. "According to the bond, you can cut off a pound of Antonio's flesh from the place closest to his heart. But there is no mention of blood," Portia said. "Shed one drop of his blood and the state of Venice will confiscate everything you own." Shylock knew that he had been outwitted. He glowered at Portia.
Yay!
Antonio looked at Shylock and saw not a loathed enemy, but a broken old man. "I wish to end the hatred between us," he said. "Let Shylock keep my half of his property as long as he agrees to become a Christian." The Duke stood up. "The case is closed," he said. "All are free to go." The crowd in the courtroom cheered and chanted Antonio's name.
Alexa's here, our gorgeous friend from America.
Hello, Alexa. Bassanio forced his way through the throng and caught Portia by the arm. "Master Balthazar, you have saved my best friend's life," he gushed. "I swear that I will give you anything you ask for." Portia smiled. "Then I will have your gold ring," she said. Portia smiled. "Then I will have your gold ring," she said. Bassanio's face fell. "That is my wedding ring," he said. "I swore to my wife that I would always keep it safe." "And you swore to me that you would give me anything I asked for," said Portia. "Your wife is married to a man who thinks nothing of breaking promises." Reluctantly, Bassanio removed the ring and presented it to Portia. "When she learns how much I owe you, my wife will understand why I gave you my wedding ring." "Oh, I know she will," Portia assured him. Then she and Nerissa slipped away and left Venice to its celebrations.
Oh.
That is the end of the story.
There's a little Shakespeare quote there.
This little quote and this is from Portia. "The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. Upon the place beneath it is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes."
Oh, yay. Hi, Ronnie. Thank you, Rally Ali.
So that was the story of The Merchant of Venice, and I hope everybody enjoyed the story as much as I did reading it. I felt like I was back in time reading to my young children.
Yay!
Which was really nice, because obviously I haven't done anything like this for such a long time. And yeah, it was very nice. I hope you all enjoyed.
Good, and thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching on playback. And tonight at 7:30 British summertime in the UK, we are doing scene reading. If you'd like to join us, send us a message. Tomorrow we've got another guest storyteller. 5 o'clock again on the Cherry Blossom page. Tina is reading The Taming of the Shrew. Woo! But for now, bye from me.
And bye from me.
And Angus says, "Well done, Ali. I wasn't familiar with The Merchant of Venice, but I am now."
Oh,
yes,
thank
I know.
you.
It's a lovely story. And Wendy, hi Wendy. All right, my lovelies. Have a great evening.
Yes, have a lovely evening. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.